You know that feeling, right? You open up TikTok for just a second, and suddenly an hour has vanished. How does it just know? How does that For You feed seem to read your mind, serving up the perfect video, one after another, keeping you totally hooked? Well, it feels like magic, but I promise you, behind that magic is some seriously brilliant engineering. So let's really get into it. How on earth does it build that perfectly personalized, never-ending stream of videos for literally billions of people, all at the same time, without completely collapsing? That is the big question, and that's exactly what we're going to break down in this explainer. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll figure out what problem we're actually trying to solve. Then, we'll sketch out the master blueprint, look at the core services that do all the heavy lifting, and really try to understand the recommendation brain. And finally, we'll see how it scales to an insane level and talk about the tough choices engineers have to make along the way. Okay, so before we can build anything, we have to know what we're building. You gotta define the core features. Think of it like this. What are the absolute must-have promises that the app makes to every single user? What makes TikTok? Well, TikTok. So what's on the checklist? Well, obviously you have to be able to upload short videos. That's a given. You absolutely need that infinite, deeply personalized feed. That's the main event. Then you've got all the social stuff, likes, comments, and shares, a follower system, of course, and the whole thing has to be powered by recommendations that feel like they're happening in real time. These are the non-negotiables. All right, with our goals locked in, it is time to look at the architectural blueprint. This is the 30,000-foot view, the master plan that shows how all the different pieces of this giant puzzle connect to create that seamless experience you get in the app. And it all starts right here, with you, and the app on your phone. In the world of system design, we just call this the client. It's your personal portal into the entire TikTok universe. Now, your phone doesn't just shout into the void. Every single swipe, every single tap, every single request it makes gets sent to one single organized front door. We call this the API gateway. You can think of it like a really efficient receptionist for the entire system, directing all the incoming traffic. And behind that front door, it's not just one giant computer trying to do everything at once. No way. It's a whole team of specialists, or what engineers call microservices. You've got a service that only handles user profiles and follows, another one that's a pro at video uploads, one just for likes and comments, and of course, the big one for recommendations. This is such a smart way to build things, because it lets the whole system stay organized and scale up piece by piece. So what about all those videos? I mean, we're talking about an unbelievable amount of data. Well, the original raw video files are all kept in something called blob storage. Just picture a gigantic, infinitely large digital warehouse. But to make sure those videos load instantly for you with zero buffering, they get copied to a content delivery network, or a CDN. This is basically a global web of servers that keeps popular videos stored physically close to you so they don't have to travel across the planet to get to your phone. And the glue that holds all of this together, the real brains of the whole operation, is the recommendation system. It's in constant communication with all the other services, gathering data, learning, and ultimately making that critical decision. Which video are you going to see next? Okay, so that's the big picture. Now let's zoom in and see this thing in action. We're going to follow the life of a single video from the exact moment you hit post all the way to the moment it lands on someone's For You page halfway around the world. So when you upload a video, it doesn't just magically appear. First, it gets dropped into a digital waiting line, what we call a message queue. This is a super clever way to handle millions of uploads at once without the system grinding to a halt. From that line, little background worker services pick up your video and start processing it. They'll transcode it, which is just a fancy way of saying they create different versions of it so it looks perfect on any phone. Then it gets saved to that giant warehouse, the blob storage, before being blasted out to the CDN all over the globe. And this all happens behind the scenes so your app stays snappy. Now for the fun part. The second you open the TikTok app, it pings the feed service and basically asks, hey, what have you got for me? And this service is built for one thing and one thing only: speed. Its job is to instantly hand back a list of video IDs that the recommendation brain has already picked out just for you. And this is where you become part of the engine. Every time you like a video, share it, rewatch it, or even how fast you swipe past it, all of those are what we call user signals. Every single action you take is a tiny piece of data, a little vote that gets sent straight back to the recommendation system. You're constantly feeding it fresh fuel.
Okay, so let's finally pull back the curtain on this recommendation brain. It isn't some black box magic. It's actually a really elegant and powerful feedback loop that's running constantly.
So, step one is the easiest part. You just use the app. As you do, the system is meticulously collecting all those user signals we were just talking about. Every single thing you do is a clue about what you like and, just as important, what you don't like. Next, the machine learning models kick in. They take all of your unique signals, your personal taste, and they compare it against millions of videos. For each one, they calculate a score. Basically, a prediction of how likely you are to enjoy that video, to watch it all the way through, to like it, to share it. And here's where the magic really happens. This isn't a one-and-done thing. The videos with the highest scores get lined up for your next feed. But the moment you watch those videos, you create brand new signals, which feeds back into the system, which refines the next set of predictions. It is a continuous, self-improving loop that gets smarter with every single swipe you make. Now, having a smart algorithm is one thing, but making it work flawlessly for over 1 billion people, that is a completely different challenge. This is where you have to design for a massive global scale. We've actually touched on most of these already. The CDN is absolutely essential for fast, buffer-free video. Caching is used everywhere. It's like keeping your personalized feed list in a super fast bit of memory so you don't have to wait for a slow database. That asynchronous queue system we talked about prevents upload traffic jams. And finally, there's horizontal scaling. This just means that as TikTok gets bigger, they don't try to build one giant supercomputer. They just add more and more standard servers to the team. But here's a secret about building systems this big. It's not just about adding more computers. It's about making really smart and sometimes really tough choices. Because in system design, there's almost never a single perfect solution. Everything is a trade-off. So here's a classic engineering dilemma for you. Availability versus consistency. Perfect consistency would mean that if a video gets a new like, every single person on the planet sees that new like count at the exact same millisecond. But making that happen is slow and very fragile. So TikTok chooses availability. It is so much more important that your feed always loads than it is for a like count to be a few seconds out of date. And this quote just nails the whole philosophy behind it. You, the user, would much rather see a feed that's 99.9% perfect and instant than a loading spinner or an error message because the system was trying to be 100% perfect. A fast working app is always better than a slow, broken one. So in the end, the magic of TikTok really boils down to 2 key pillars: a lightning-fast global video delivery network and a hyper-personalized recommendation engine that learns from your every single move. It's a combination that has totally changed the game, which really just leaves one big question. What's next? What future system, what new technology is going to be built on these same powerful principles?